So, before I pass the torch to Ali Behnam, co-founder of Tealium, Mike Anderson, Chief Technology Officer and co-founder at Tealium, and Ulisse Sarmiento, Vice President of Sales Engineer, they will be talking to us about how data is the next barrier in the advent of experience and artificial intelligence. Please welcome to the stage Ali, Mike, and Ulisse.
Ok, prima che cambio in inglese anche da parte mia, buongiorno, buon pomeriggio. Come ha detto Umberto, io mi chiamo Ulisse Sarmiento e vi do il benvenuto a questo Fireside Chat con i nostri cari amici degli Stati Uniti, sono venuti dalla California, giusto per essere qui con noi e anche di definire, diciamo, la storia di Tealium e di raccontarvi da dove siamo venuti e dove stiamo andando. Per me è un onore grandissimo avere Mike e Ali qui con me e perciò do il buon benvenuto a Mike e Ali. Mike, Ali, so what I was saying is that it's an honor to have you both on the stage in Milan. First of all, welcome to be here in this wonderful location. But also, as I said, it's not really common to have both founder from an American company in Milan presenting today. So before we start, I'd like you, Mike and Ali, to introduce yourself on how you started to build the company Tealium. What was the reason why you thought that's important, the technology, but also later on in the fireside chat where we are going. Okay. So Mike?
Put your English translation filter on. Thank you for having us. This is incredible. It actually is a true statement. Ali and I have not been on stage together in quite a long time. It's probably been pre-COVID that we've been together, but this is an easy country to get me to come to, so I'm happy to be here. Ali and I work together. We've worked together for a long time. We work together in analytics, and we believe in analytics. We very much embodied analytics. When we decided to create Tealium, it was because we wanted to make analytics go faster. Analytics was a very batch-based system. You would collect data, you would build reports, you would analyze reports, and you would adjust the experiences based on the reports. With Tealium, we wanted to make that instantaneous, where we could collect data and we could influence the customer experience in the moment that matters. And that really is the founding principle of Tealium. I believe that better experiences win. I believe the companies that provide the best experiences will always win. And I also believe that there are multiple types of experiences. You can have engagement experiences where you can use email, SMS, social to try to get a customer to re-engage. But there's also conversational experiences that are right there in the moment, leveraging data, leveraging a customer's intent, and making smart decisions to put the best experience possible. And those conversational experiences, we're very proud that I think Tealium is one of the only vendors that actually enables that real-time data insight capability for those types of real-time conversational experiences. So that's why I wanted to create Tealium, for better customer experiences, and I believe those are the brands that will win in the long run.
Yeah. I think if you look at our backgrounds, first of all, it's a pleasure to be here. And as Mike said, it wasn't really that hard for us to make it to Milan. Like, you ask us to go to Milan, it's like, yes, when? But the reality is, if you look at our background, coming from web analytics, before Tealium, we used to work at a company called Website Story, which competed with Omniture. If you know Adobe Analytics, that's really who we ended up competing with. And eventually Omniture ended up buying Website Story as a company. But at Website Story, we had like 1,200 customers. And across those customers, there were really two problems that were universal. Number one, getting my analytics deployed is very difficult because I got to do things in your language. Number two, once I have it deployed, how do I take action on this data? All I'm getting is reports, and I'm not able to activate this data. So when we started Tealium, we actually addressed those very two specific problems with tag management and CDP. So we're really proud of being, having created two categories that specifically solve those two problems that we faced at Website Story.
Good. Let's get a little bit more comfy. Let's sit down and let's start. So thank you so much for sharing that. So today we are going to talk a lot about customer experience, the modern customer experience area, and we also talk a lot about hyper-personalization, and especially in the agentic world that we are now. What does it really mean? So what is hyper-personalization? What can agentic help in that part? Mike, what do you think? I think you already touched on certain points, but let us hear what you think about that.
Well, I talked about the sort of time-based types of experiences, conversational engagement. But when we talk about hyper-personalization, I do believe that customers are trying to be effective with their time. They're trying to get efficiency out of the vendors that they choose. We have more choices now than we've ever had. There's all kinds of airlines I can fly. There's all kinds of hotels where I can stay. So the idea is, I'm gonna go with the company that gives me the best experience. And so when we start talking about hyper-personalization, I believe that there's nothing too small from a personalization perspective. I'll give you an example. If we look at New Balance as a shoe brand, 3 types of people: walkers, runners, and CrossFitters. I'm not a runner, I can assure you. And I don't like to walk. Now the idea is, those are just some small, subtle, personal preferences that I have. So if I'm going to look at a pair of shoes and you're going to show somebody very lean that's running through the mountains, that imagery is not going to impact me. If you're going to show someone that's more like who I am, then I'm much more inclined to understand that and to want that product more. So when I'm thinking about hyper-personalization, I'm thinking about all of these things, the atmospherics around the imagery and things that are going to make me feel more comfortable with the brand and make me feel more like the brand understands me. I'm also going to be holding the brand accountable to the experiences should be the same across web and across mobile and across the contact center, which I don't see a lot. Everybody out here I know wants to have a customer 360, but if I have web, mobile, and contact center and I'm only measuring the web, we can do the math. Customer 120 is the best you're going to get. And so the idea is I'm going to expect a very contiguous experience across those 3 channels. If I'm on the web trying to do something and I call into the contact center and I have to start over to tell you what is wrong or what I was challenged with, that's not a great experience. And so from a hyper-personalization perspective, I think it's all just about making the customer feel more comfortable. And what we find is that what a customer does in the last 30 seconds is far more indicative of what they want over all of the years of data that you may have. Think about it. If we've all been Netflix customers for a decade and Netflix started recommending what movies we would watch based on what we used to watch 10 years ago, it's not relevant. What's relevant is what's going on right there in the moment. And so hyper-personalization really has to take advantage of the signals that are coming in right in that moment to be able to show a customer what they really want.
Ali, what would you say?
No, I agree with that. Like, traditional personalization is one where you break your audience into segments and say, okay, you're a frequent flyer, so you belong, this is your offer. You're a valuable purchaser, so this is going to be your offer. That doesn't really work anymore, right? Hyper-personalization is really about acting in the moment, taking the data as it happens, and then providing a personalized experience right then and there. This is why I like partnerships like Tealium and Dynamic Yield, for example, right? Where Tealium is the data foundation, and then Dynamic Yield becomes the experience layer on top of that. Again, what you need is, as Mike mentioned, is number one, the data has to be real time, right? And there's a lot of people that say, 5 minutes is good enough. 5 minutes is actually not good enough because the average session duration is 4 minutes? So if you're taking 5 minutes to do an activation or provide a recommendation on the website, the person has already left the website. And guess what? Your website is your most important channel. So number one, you need real-time data. Number two, you need cross-channel data. And number three is you actually need to have consent for providing that personalized experience. If you're providing a personalized experience for someone that hasn't consented to it, that's actually a liability waiting to happen, especially with rules, regulations like GDPR.
Well, thank you so much. So I think we touched a lot on hyper-personalization, but we are in an agentic area. So everyone is talking about AI and AI agents and so on. What is your take on that one? How is your view on the agentic world, and how are we as Tealium facing that?
This is a tough one. I feel like there are a lot of companies out there that are trying to rush into AI without necessarily having the foundations set up. AI for me absolutely becomes, maybe you could call it an easy button, but I think it's something that can truly analyze large amounts of data in very small amounts of time and come up with the best outcome, decision, whatever you want to call it. But unfortunately for AI, it's only as good as the data you put into it. And so our goal all along at Tealium has always been, let's start with the data foundation, right? If I were building this building here, I wouldn't try to start putting those beams up first. I would lay the concrete and I would lay the tile down on the bottom. That's the foundation. And so when we're talking about AI, yes, we're going to see a lot more technology come out. It's coming out daily that we're seeing this. We're going to start seeing situations where I'm no longer going to go online to book a ticket. I'm going to have an agent go and do it. But still trying to understand how to put the best experiences in front of a customer, it still boils down to what is their intent, what are they trying to do, and how can I make that experience better? From our side, we look at AI from a couple sides. One is, how can we make you better in the tool? How can we give you more of a prompt type interface where you can just walk in and talk about an audience you want to go after and you want to target? And how can we build all of the complexities automatically for you? And how do we make you more of a power user by using AI? The second type is, how do we use AI to understand the data that's flowing in and to give you more insight into the behavioral information that's coming in by pre-labeling the data, by categorizing the data, by trying to understand, based on this event flow, this is a likely abandoner, or this is a likely purchaser. Those are the sorts of things that we're doing on the data as well, from an AI perspective.
I think on the topic of agentic AI, there's the data foundation that you need to have. You need to have the right data. But there's also the data infrastructure that you need to have, right? So if you think about AI and agentic AI specifically, there's really two components here. Number one, training your data. For that one, you probably need a big set of data or super set of data that you can throw into the LLM model so you can train the data and provide the right algorithm. But then when it comes to the agentic experience itself, you don't need to push the whole data into the agents. You only need to push a subset, a very small subset of data in a very instantaneous manner, right? So you need to be able to filter the specific 4 or 5 data points that you need for that one experience and push it to the agent in real time so that you can create an agentic experience for your customers. So it's both the data foundation, but also the data infrastructure.
Well, really interesting point of views, but what about problems? So here in the room we have partners, we have customers, we have prospects that become our customers hopefully soon. What are the blockers, especially in creating a data foundation and have the data ready for the AI area and also for getting the modern customer experience ready?
10 years ago, the blockers would have been technology. Technology is not the blockers anymore. This is a people thing. This is understanding what the right things to do are, what the right strategies are. I think there's a lot of collaboration that should happen. From a Tealium perspective, we try not to be a vendor that says, hey, here's our software, we wish you a lot of luck, have fun, we'll talk to you around renewal time. I think this is something where you have to go back to that persona experience and you have to figure out, how do I want to dazzle my customers with experiences? And then the agents are just going to be able to pick up the signals faster and be able to identify what the right experience and resolution is faster than humans can at absolute scale with an always-on mentality. But I think a lot of people out there, when I talk to them about what their AI strategies are, honestly, they just say, we just have to be doing something AI soon. You don't get away from, you don't get away from the use case. For me, I've played music most of my life. When I think about AI, for me, it's a guitar pedal, right? I plug in my guitar, I plug it into the pedal, and I plug that into the amp. I still have to, even though I have an AI pedal right there, I still have to play the guitar, and the amp still plays the sound for me. The pedal just changes the nature of the sound, and that's what it does. It's not going to do everything for you. You still have to be very involved, but you just have to use it as another tool in the toolbox that should add value to the chain.
People, process, technology, right? Yeah. That's really what it is. And
that was the better answer.
And that's not going away. AI is just another technology. We were talking to Antonio just before this, and we were talking about a couple of studies. I think MIT did a study where 95% of AI projects fail. Who was it? McKinsey did a study where 85% of projects fail. I mean, whether it's 85 or 95, it's up there, right? Most of them fail because they lack purpose. I don't know if you guys remember the old big data commercials. There was a lot of them in the US, especially with IBM. Big data, throw everything into big data, you'll figure it out later. That doesn't work, right? Most of the big data projects failed because they lacked purpose. They were like tech first, purpose last. So start with purpose, start with your use case, start with what you're trying to do, build a team around it, and then go figure out the technology part.
Well, time is running far too fast, but I would have one last question for both of you. And this is a quite common question on the end. It's, where do you see Tealium, the hyper-personalization, custom experience in the next, normally you would say 5 years, but 5 years in our world is far too long, in the next 1 to 3 years?
Let's just say in the next 20 minutes. Where do I see? I talked about engagement experiences, and I talked about conversational experiences. And I'm a big fan of the conversational experiences. Being able to give the consumer the right experience in that moment, and not saying, welcome to my website, give me your email address, and we'll talk later. Like that's not what I think is the best type of experience. Now, when we think about that, I think about the physical delays of moving large pieces of data around. I think about the relevance of data. Samsung did a study that said they analyzed the last 12 years of digital data that they had, and they found that the last 30 seconds was far more predictable than the last 12 years, which makes total sense. So the recency data is very important. I think what we're going to see from an AI perspective is not just put all your data in Snowflake and fix it when it's broken and clean it up when it's dirty and then figure out what to do with it. I wouldn't watch those big data commercials from years ago because I don't believe in them. I think what we're going to start seeing is, I think, to truly do conversational experiences powered by AI, AI is going to run at the edge. That's why our iPhone devices have AI chips in them. That's why you're seeing commercials with Dell laptops that have AI chips built into them. And so now you're talking about not only having data in your cloud data warehouse, but you're also talking about having data in the moment at the edge and running AI at the edge. And I think that's what we're going to see in the next couple years. And again, now you have to have not only data quality, but you have to have data where you need it most. You'll be at the edge running AI for conversational experiences. You'll be running data in the cloud for engagement experiences. And I think you'll be running analytics off of the edge, and I think you'll be running analytics off of the cloud as well.
Yeah, I mean, I see conversational experience as one of the big areas that is going to take off over the next few years. Now, having said that, 3 years ago, I don't think anybody in this room would have predicted that LLMs were going to take over everything, right? But here we are. But I think what LLMs do is they do a really good job of understanding language, which means we can actually, for the first time, have a conversation with a brand. That's really what they enable. So I see conversational interface as a new channel that's going to come up, just like we have web and mobile apps. We're going to have also a conversational channel with brands where we can talk to the brands and say, this is what I'm interested in. Can you help me the best product for, find the best product for me or best fit for me? And that's going to take off. It doesn't mean the website is going to go away. It doesn't mean the mobile apps are going to go away, but it's just going to be another channel through which customers are going to interact with brands. I'm actually pretty excited about it because it opens up the time horizon with which brands can go ahead and have an engagement with different customers, right? I can actually have a conversation with a brand while I'm driving my car. That's something I couldn't do on a mobile web or, a mobile app. So it's actually pretty exciting, I think.
Great. Thank you so much. For me, it was really, really inspiring and an honor, as I said in the beginning, having Mike and Ali on the stage. And what I think is, what Mike and Ali said is, build your data foundation. I think it's the most important thing. And don't be scared about AI, LLM, because if you have the right data, in the right technology, then you can survive or even drive modern custom experience. So Mike, Ali, grazie mille.
Grazie.
And enjoy it.